gifted. Is it good to be a mutant if you find out you have emerging
No,
powers?
it is not good to be a mutant. I would say mutants are received poorly in society, in the world that we're working with in the show. Jace was a cop. He had something horrible happen in his past that sparked him into being a member of the Sentinel Services, hunting down mutants. He's not exactly, he doesn't hate them. He's just doing what he thinks is right, and he doesn't really care what he has to do to get the job done.
Now, Amy and Natalie, we find out in the pilot that Lauren has this ability, and also her brother as well, Andy, played by Percy Hines-White. How does this affect the Strucker family? Why is it a big deal that you have two mutants in the family?
Oh, well, pretty much our entire lives are turned upside down. We have this lovely suburban lifestyle with actually her dad, my husband, working also as a prosecutor for Sentinel Services. So we've sort of been profiting off of how mutants are treated in society, and all the while our daughter has been hiding this secret from us. So when we find this out, we have to deal with the guilt of everything that's happening, and how much we were complacent with what was going on, and we have to leave our house and go on the run and join this group of underground mutant fighters. Not the X-Men.
Yeah, can you sort of establish for people what role do this is an X-Men set universe show, but what role do the X-Men play in The Gifted, if any?
Well, we're in the a timeline of the movies. Everything kind of comes together, but we have our own separate place. I think that, as you know, X-Men timelines are kind of sketchy, but we're kind of developing our own place in the X-Men universe. We have characters from the comics like Blink, Thunderbird, Polaris. Yeah, they're all in the comics. We have them in our story, which is really cool. But we also definitely have different characters that Matt Nix has created, like Eclipse. A lot of new characters are coming in too, which I find really cool.
And Natalie, I mean, you guys are up to episode 7 at this point that you're filming. The show is sort of forming itself. Can you talk a little bit about your character and her evolution? Because we meet her as a relative child, discovering her abilities for the first time. Definitely. Is she going to grow into a character who people recognize?
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. But yeah, when you kind of meet her, she kind of like is the typical teenager with everything perfect, and then you find out, like Amy said, she's been hiding this deep secret that she's a mutant in the society. She doesn't want to be a mutant because everybody sees them as freaks, and she doesn't want anybody that she knows to turn against her, so she kind of hides this from herself until her brother manifests his powers, and she kind of just gives that all up to save her family. But yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of filming, and I've really liked the character development. We're starting to really work with the idea of building our powers underground and kind of working with the higher mutants, the more developed mutants, to kind of teach us how to use our powers, which has been really fun. Working with Emma and Sean, Blair, Jamie, they're incredible. So
we've seen so many different takes on the X-Men for a while. It's just a really resonant franchise. What appealed to you three about this take on the X-Men in The Gifted?
I mean, for me, I think the family aspect is a new spin on it all, and is so much of the time in this world you have people who are outcasts from their family coming together to kind of form a new, like, Scooby Gang family of their own, and in this you get to see another side of it where we decide to stick together and sort of fight this fight with our own family, and we still get to join with these other mutants and form a new family. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think what's also interesting, Kobe, is your character Jace. Like, he's a main part of the story. On paper, maybe seems like a villain, but what have you sort of learned about his character in Sentinel Services as you've shot this season?
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing about the way Matt and Lauren have set the show up, is that there's such a gray area. Jace is the bad guy, but he's not a bad guy. He's just kind of doing his job. And the audience is going to learn pretty quickly. I didn't think the writers were going to get into Jace's backstory so quickly, but we've already kind of done the whole origin story about why he's doing what he's doing, and it's very sad. And So yeah, it's
We should turn ourselves into him.
yeah. He's doing what he has to do, but he's not always comfortable with what he has to do. And as we get deeper into the season, he teams up with a scary dude that he gets less and less comfortable with what he's doing. It gets dark quickly.
Do you see him as a character who might one day change sides, or do you think that he's very invested in the Sentinels?
Well, they definitely set it up to where that could happen, because he's someone that you're not rooting for him, but at least you kind of understand and can kind of see his side of things. So he's not just a butthead. I'll watch my language. You know what I mean? He's not just this guy blindly, just this evil guy. So that could happen. You never know. I mean, with this show, anything can happen because these people have powers. There's all this crazy stuff going on. So the writers, as far as the writers are concerned, anything can happen.
Yeah, I love that The Gifted is, based in the X-Men universe, but not directly based on any one existing comic. So I'm curious what you all sort of went back to for your influences. Did you read any of the specific comics runs, or did you, go to anything else that Matt Nix directed you to gain inspiration?
Well, we were kind of lucky because we had Lauren Schuler-Donner and Bryan Singer directing the pilot, so that we had sort of this wealth of knowledge to draw from. But Marvel also gave us access to all the comics on their online comic library. So we got to go read about the different, it was fun to see how the characters we have in the show fit into the comics, and how they've kind of taken liberties and changed some of it and created the new ones, like Natalie said.
Yeah, and they put so much thought into it about the the history and the mythology. A lot of these characters that you're just seeing as new characters, you don't know. If you look deep enough, there could be some Easter eggs. Yeah, yeah.
Were any of you diehard X-Men fans, or what was sort of your first, experience with the X-Men?
I kind of grew up watching them. I think that they're kind of iconic, all of them. I'm such a huge comic book fan that being able to go back and read the comics and then put them on screen, I think that's something that's really cool for me. So being a part of the show, that's so cool. Yeah.
I imagine it must have been really surreal having Bryan direct the pilot as well. Even, spoilers, I've gotten a chance to see some of it a little early. But there are moments that you clearly see the influence of his X-Men movies in there. Did he give you guys any interesting advice when he was filming the pilot with you guys that you've taken with you as you continue working on the show?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I had the powers, and he knows how to do that better than anyone. I mean, in the movies, some of the visual effects that they have are incredible. So, what I find interesting is that every character has their own gesture on how to make their power, and Bryan was definitely a big impact, just saying, okay, so in this movie, this is what this character did, so it's too similar to that character, but we want to make sure that we have your own thing. But Lauren Schuler-Donner, she was so helpful with that, and so was Matt and Bryan. They're all visionaries, which makes it so much better.
What's your gesture? You live it out, or do you have to be deep in character for it?
Oh, it's kind of like a lunge. I got to get it ready for it, but it's more. My idea is that, the whole idea is that I can push atoms together in the air and create energy to create these air bubble shield thingies. So it's more of a curved movement. But Bryan really helped out with that.
I mean, we talked a little bit about what Jace's role is, and obviously the mutants are sort of at the heart of it. But Amy, talk a bit about Kate's role and working with Steven as well as your on-screen husband. Where do the human parents fit into this mutant show?
Well, yeah, we are one of three, I guess, that don't have the superpowers. But I think that it's always kind of fun to be the ordinary person in an extraordinary situation, and you really find out what you're capable of, not only because we now have to keep up with all these mutants and keep up, you're in there once you're there, but also just what it takes to protect your family, and even though our kids have powers and are protecting us in ways that we never thought they would, we still have this innate desire to keep them safe, and so we find ourselves doing things that maybe we didn't think we were capable of.
Well, I love when we spoke at Comic-Con, you guys still had just shot the pilot, but now you've got 6 more episodes. You know, what surprised you most about the direction that the season has gone? Because for me, watching the pilot, I just found it's so full of possibilities for where it can go after that. So we sort of go down the line.
I don't know how to say this without giving things away. That's not, they're trying to release spoilers.
People to leave the room.
Well, all I can say is I thought we were doing one thing, and then the episodes kept. I was like, "Oh, we're doing this? Like this is what's happening? Whoa!" You know. So it was kind of it's been cool just as a fan of the show that I'm on. You know, to see it developing has been really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the exciting thing about being on shows like this. How he was saying anything can happen, but really. Every script feels like a little present that you're like, well, what do I get to do this episode? Because it could be, you know, it continues to be. There could be so many different ways it could go. And
did it go in the way any of you expected?
No, not at all, actually.
Yeah,
You're
no.
making a face where you're like, I called the whole.
No, I literally thought it was one thing, and I was sure that that's what was happening, and then it was like, whew, it's, you know, little twist.
Obviously, I mean, the X-Men are mutants, but there are a lot of ways that story is really resonant, you know, with people nowadays, with high school kids, with, you know, like communities who feel like they've been pushed down or ostracized. What do you find that this show is doing that makes it timely and relevant and interesting and sort of continues carrying that X-Men banner?
wow. I mean, we do have I don't feel like you can talk about the X-Men without that being a part of the show. And there's so many aspects of us even having to go on the run because of just being different. And, you know, I was saying in episode 2, I was doing some scenes with Sean, and we were in a car, and we happened to read the news for the day, and we were like, this is the scene we're doing, you know.
Wow.
It's really hard. It's fun being on a show that so much can be ripped from the headlines, and, you know, you always get nervous that, like, are we giving people ideas, or are we? But you want to see when it comes out if it feels like, did they write this first, or did this happen in the news first?
And, I mean, unfortunately, it's getting more and more timely. You know, like when they developed the show, it was during the Obama administration. They didn't know how timely it was going to be for all that wackiness that's going on right now.
So for people who do watch it, what do you hope, if they were to take a message away? You know, it's easy you can watch these as like popcorn entertainment, if you will, right? You can just watch the action on the screen, but if people were to take away a bigger message from The Gifted, what would you hope that it is?
I mean, for my age group, I would definitely say be who you are, because that's, I mean, when you think about it, if anybody in this room wanted to be a mutant right now, I think that they'd go for it. But unfortunately, because they're so different and cool, they see them as threats and somebody that's kind of like a weird thing. But I think that's just be who you are, and who you are is powerful and badass. And I think that, especially for young women, I want to create a character that I think that people can look up to and kind of see as like a powerful woman. I love women I love men empowerment, but I love women empowerment too.
Natalie.
I
think she's doing
it. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's super important to me.
Yeah, I think that's the real core, is that, you know, be proud of your gifts, kind of. But
Everybody's
there's something.
Gifted, right?
Don't try to hide it. Let your, what is it? Your freak flag fly.
That's the tagline for the show. Let your freak flag fly. Now, I can't do an interview with the cast of The Gifted without asking you guys, if you could pick your own mutant power, what would you want it to be and why?
I chose mine based on the crazy stuff that's been happening lately, because we got shut down for the hurricane, and being from Texas with all of the awful stuff. So I think controlling the weather would be very important right now.
Yeah.
I have 2. I'm going to go with my other one. It's mind manipulation, just because, I mean, I'm pretty good at manipulating people right now.
There we go.
But, I mean, to really be able to do that'd be great.
But look, so you're controlling the weather. That solves that problem. You're controlling minds. You can just control all the politicians.
This is why Sentinel Services wants to get around. They're like, oh, we could take over the world.
This is good. This is good. Yeah. And I just want to be able to have eating carbs have the same effect on me as doing sit-ups.
Oh, that's perfect.
So
Yeah, no, I
anytime
want that
I
one
eat
too.
like
I
a
take it.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that's like 50 sit-ups.
All right, so people are going to be seeing the pilot 1 week from today. The Gifted is premiering on October 2nd at 9 p.m. on Fox. What is your biggest, hype message you can send along to people to get them excited for that episode and what's to come next?
Oh, you've done such a good
I just hope, I sincerely hope everybody enjoys it as much as we're enjoying making it. Because we're having a good time.
I really hope that everybody's favorite character is Lauren. That's all I can say. That's
all I
my
have.
biggest hope. Just kidding. I'm just very happy that it's finally coming out because we've been sitting on this for so long. So I'm personally really excited because you feel like you're in this little bubble creating this project. So I feel like it's so big and out of the box. So to be able to have everybody see it, I think is kind of shocking for all of us.
Yeah.
And there's something for everyone. So you can, get your whole neighborhood together and watch this show.
Yes, absolutely. And this, hardcore Marvel fans, we appreciate you, and we are really trying our best to honor what you guys expect of us.
Definitely.
I like that from what you were saying earlier, it sounds like there are a lot of little Marvel Easter eggs in this show if you look hard enough or follow it down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And if the show gets to live long enough, for sure, like Matt is, he's very serious about his Marvel mythology.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. This is not the only Gifted fun we have for you guys. We have a never-before-seen clip from Marvel's The Gifted, so stay tuned. Keep an eye out for that on IGN.com. The Gifted premieres on Monday, October 2nd at 9 p.m. on Fox. For all things Gifted, X-Men, and Marvel, keep it here on IGN, so make sure to like and subscribe everywhere you like to watch.